Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala states in the first chapter, the third verse of the Holy Quran, Maliki Yawmiddin, Master of the Day of Judgment. So in the previous lectures, we have been addressing and exploring the exegesis of this specific blessed verse of the Holy Quran from various perspectives and dimensions. And today, we consider another perspective, another direction, and hence explore the exegesis of the Holy Quran with respect to this specific verse of the Holy Quran that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala states in Surah Al Fatihah, the third verse, Maliki Yawmiddin, Master of the Day of Judgment. So in this regards, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala states in the Holy Quran at another instance, Allahumma Malik al-Mulk, tu'til mulka man tasha'u wa tanzi'ul mulka mimman tasha'u wa tu'izzu man tasha'u wa tuzillu man tasha'u biyadikal khair innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. O Allah, Master of the kingdom, you give the kingdom to whom you will and seize the kingdom from whom you will. You exalt whom you please and you abase whom you please. In your hand is all good. Surely you have absolute authority and control over everything. So Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala states, Maliki Yawmiddin, Master of the Day of Judgment. So He is indeed the Master of the Day of Judgment. And this specific verse confirms this. At another instance, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala states in the Holy Quran, Ta'urujul malaikatu wa ruhu ilayhi fi yawmin kana miqdaruhu khamsina alfasana. Jibrail and angels ascend towards Him in a day whereof the measure is 50,000 years. Now this is just one day. And that day, the Day of Judgment, that will be a single day incorporating 50,000 years. How significant a number would that be? Not 100 years, not 1,000 years, but a significant number to take account of, 50,000 years. So that single day of judgment will be equal to a 50,000 years, and that will be the day of judgment. It is worth contemplating that how will this day pass? How will this day pass? Have you ever thought about this? That even the Holy Quran at a number of instances state that why don't you contemplate? Why don't you contemplate? Why don't you think that what is being addressed in the Holy Quran? What is being addressed in the Holy Quran? Why don't you ponder over it? Contemplate upon the verses of the Holy Quran. And it is due to this very reason that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, with reference to the recitation of the Holy Quran, for instance, He states in the Holy Quran, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And when the Quran is recited, listen to it carefully and maintain silence so that you may be shown mercy. So have we ever thought that how will this day pass? Have we ever pondered over this fact that how will the day of judgment pass? A single day of judgment, my friends, that will be equal to a 50,000 years. How will the believers and the disbelievers pass that day? Have we ever contemplated upon this? Have we ever thought, how will this day of judgment pass? A single day of judgment that will be equal to a 50,000 years. A very significant number to take account of. It is not just a matter of 100 years or 1,000 years, but is a matter of a 50,000 years. That will be the day of judgment. Hazrat Abu Sa'id Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala in regards to the day of judgment, which will comprise of a 50,000 years, he narrates that it was humbly inquired from the beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, that, O Prophet of Allah, the blessed Quran states about the day of judgment, which will be a single day of 50,000 years. O Prophet of Allah, how long will be that day? So there was information that was asked from the beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, about the day of judgment, about the single day of judgment, which will be of a 50,000 years. And the beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, the noble and honorable messenger, peace be upon him, he stated, in whose possession is my life, there will be mitigation and reduction for the Momin, the believer, on that day. Which day? On the day of judgment. So there will be mitigation and reduction for the Momin, the believer, on the day of judgment. And who is a Momin? Who really is a Momin? What is the construction of a Momin? So the Momin believer is the person who fasts in the month of Ramadan, who offers his daily prayers, who gives zakat and performs hajj, and who testifies that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his prophet. It is this person in whom these 5 qualities are found that he reserves the right of being truly called a Momin, a believer. And for a Momin, a believer, after every other step, there are felicitations for him. For a Momin, after every step, there are congratulations for him. There is felicitations for that person. For instance, Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he states that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, stated that the person who accepted Islam and with the intention of rewards, he fasted during the month of Ramadan, his entire previous sins will be forgiven. Now this is a saying of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. And who narrates this? Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, a beloved companion of the noble messenger, peace be upon him. And it is surely and without doubt and indeed due to the charity from the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, that the gates of mercy and forgiveness are forever kept open for us by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And therefore we should pay heed to this. We should take importance of this and take account of this. We should benefit from the gates of mercy and forgiveness. We should seek Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala's mercy and we should seek his forgiveness. And it is the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, who stated, who while having accepted Islam with the intention of rewards, he remained standing in the nights of Ramadan. So who recited, this means that the ones who recite the prayers of Taraweeh during the nights of Ramadan, or in another narration, the person who remained standing during the night of Laylatul Qadr, his entire previous sins will be forgiven. Such is the noble messenger, peace be upon him. Such are his sayings, that if we remain standing in worship during the nights of Laylatul Qadr, our entire sins will be forgiven. This is such a big blessing that we should consider and we should be thankful for. So what does the standing refers to in these specific blessed ahadith of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him? It refers to the prayers of Taraweeh. The Taraweeh Salah that we offer, we offer the entire Isha prayers, and then we proceed with the offering of Taraweeh prayers as well. So the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, stated, in whose possession is my life, there will be mitigation and reduction for the Momin on that day. So the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, stated, again reiterating the blessed hadith, that in whose possession is my life, there will be mitigation and reduction for the Momin on that day. Which day? The day of judgment. And with respect to the hadith, the blessed hadith already reiterated that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, stated that in whose possession is my life, there will be mitigation and reduction for the Momin on that day, the day of judgment. And the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, further stated that the reduction will be as much as that the time a person takes to offer the first prayers, that day will pass on him like that. So the day of judgment will pass on that person like that, the time he takes to offer the first prayers, the first salat. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he states that people would stand in front of the Lord of the worlds for half a day, the day which will be equal to a 50,000 years, and it would be eased upon the Momin, the believer. So from the sunrise up until the sunset, that would be all for a Momin believer, that as much time he takes to offer the first prayers. So Hazrat Abu Sa'id Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala anhu then states, for a non-believer, that day would be a day of 50,000 years, because of the fact that that person, the non-believer, he did not have any good deeds recorded in his register of deeds. Scholars have held the view here that the scale of justice demands this, and they say that the believers, Momin, will be blessed with the sight, with the blessed sight of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala at the day of judgment. And those believers and Momins who will be blessed with the sight of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala on the day of judgment, they will be so absorbed in that beautiful sight of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala that they won't even realize, and a day of 50,000 years will have already passed. So this will be the blessing that they will be blessed with, that the Momins, the believers, they will be blessed with the sight of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala and the Momins, they will be so absorbed in that beautiful sight that they won't even realize, and a single day of judgment of a 50,000 years that will already pass. So you will have already seen in this world that there are certain people who are so absorbed when they are worshipping Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, or when they are offering their prayers, that they don't even realize what is happening around them when they are engaged in the remembrance of Allah, when they are engaged and occupied in the worship of Allah, when they are offering the prayers. For instance, Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he was once praying his prayers when there was a snake on the roof of the mosque. And that snake, suddenly, all of a sudden, it fell off from the roof, and it fell off near Hazrat Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. That snake was probably lethal and it was venomous, and there was chaos around. There was chaos in the mosque. There was noise and the people shouting that someone take care of the snake because it was venomous. And Hazrat Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he was worshipping and he was praying his prayers, his salat in the very same mosque where there was chaos and noise and shouting due to the snake that fell off from the roof of the mosque. And Hazrat Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he did not even realize that there was a snake. And how do we know this? Because when he concluded his prayers, when he was done offering his prayers, he inquired from the people that what is this chaos about? What is this noise about? That there is so much noise and chaos in the mosque. And the people in return replied, "O Imam Azam Abu Hanifa, how did you not realize that a snake fell off near you while you were praying in the mosque? And we were all shouting because of that. Yet you did not realize that there was a snake in the mosque." And a similar incident has also been recorded of a blessed companion of the Honorable Messenger, the Noble Messenger, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, a companion, a Ansari companion, an Ansari Sahabi of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, that he was busy and occupied in worshipping Allah. He was offering his prayers. While he was offering the prayers, an arrow pierced through his body. An arrow pierced through the Ansari Sahabi's body when he was busy and occupied in the worship of Allah. And he was so absorbed in the worship of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, he was so absorbed in the offering of prayers that he did not even realize that an arrow from the enemy had just pierced through his body, and there was blood that was flowing, and there was blood coming out from his body, and he did not even have any kind of a pain in his body at that time. He was so absorbed in the worship of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. There are these people as well who also belong to the same world as we. Let's ponder upon ourselves. Let's think about ourselves, my friends. When we worship Allah, when we are engaged in the remembrance of Allah, when we are offering our prayers, when we are offering our farz and obligatory prayers, do we realize what is happening to us? All the worldly matters we are thinking about when we are offering the prayers. When is it the time when we are so absorbed in the worship of Allah that we don't realize anything else, but it is only Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala who we think about? Very few. Likewise, similarly, Imam Bukhari was offering his prayers once when a wasp stung him, and the wasp, it stung him 17 times, and yet Hazrat Imam Bukhari did not feel any kind of a pain, and he did not even realize that a wasp had just stung him, and not once, not twice, not thrice, but 17 times a wasp had stung him when he was absorbed in the worship of Allah, when he was occupied and absorbed in the prayers of Allah, when he was occupied worshipping Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. A wasp had stung him 17 times, yet he did not feel any kind of a pain, or didn't even realize that there was a wasp somewhere which had just stung him, and not once or twice or thrice, but 17 times. These were also the people. These were the pious and honorable people, and these, my Sayyidi Shaykh Ahmad Mohsin Munawar Yousafi states that these are the very people, these are the very honorable and respectable people which will be blessed with the sight of Allah Ta'ala at the day of judgment. And for these people, the single day of a 50,000 years will pass by, and they will not even realize that a 50,000 year day has just passed by. So this reflects the mercy of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala on these people. Then think about us. Where do we stand? We should also pray our prayers and worship Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and try to and endeavor to worship Him in this manner, that when we are engaged in the worship of Allah Ta'ala, nothing else should come to our mind. These are the pious and honorable people, and this reflects the fact that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala prefers His mercy over His justice, because if He strictly upholds justice, then we are not worthy enough for even a single blessing. We cannot claim that we are worthy enough of even a certain blessing, of even a single blessing. We cannot put forward such a claim. So for the sake of those pious people who will be so absorbed in His blessed sight at the day of judgment, that the 50-year day of judgment will pass by in as little as when a person offers his first prayers. So when the women of Egypt, Misr, caught sight of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, they cut their hands off, and they did not even realize that they had just cut off their fingers. They had just cut off their fingers. This is when they caught sight of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. So what will happen when we will be blessed with the sight of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, the Lord of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, at the day of judgment? What a day would that be? What an occasion would that be when the women of Egypt, Misr, saw and glimpsed upon the beautiful and blessed face of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. They cut off their fingers and didn't even realize what will happen at the day of judgment when we will be blessed with the sight of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, the Lord of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. What an occasion would that be? So the real thing is His mercy. Who is there who is more just than Him? But it is only for the sake of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala prefers His mercy over His justice. So Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, he prayed, Fatir as-samawati wal ard, anta waliyyi fid dunya wal akhirah, tawaffani musliman wa alhiqni bis salihin. O Creator of the heavens and the earth, You are my protector in this world and the hereafter. Cause me to die in true submission as Muslim and join me with those who are worthy enough to be very close to You. My Shaykh, my Sayyidi Shaykh, my beloved, my mentor, my teacher, my Qibla, my access, my Sayyidi Shaykh Ahmad Mohsin Munawar Yousafi states, with reference to this verse and prayer of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, that it can thus be elucidated from this blessed verse of the Holy Quran that even the prophets of Allah have prayed and wished to be from among the saints of Allah. This means that there is something special about the saints of Allah, the awliya Allah, the ones who are worthy enough to be close and to be very close to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. So Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala states in Surah Al Fatihah, the opening chapter, the first chapter, verse number 3, Maliki Yawmiddin, Master of the Day of Judgment. To access the same lecture in Urdu, please click on the link available below in the description.